just getting started. Drop down our little incline, dropping down into the Beaver Creek Valley or canyon, and we're just going to follow that down. Our first two buffalo are just right around the corner. Well, here's our buffalo friends. Looks like he's going to move down towards the trail. And so we're just going to have to formulate a plan here to safely navigate around these guys. But I think it'll all be good. Oh, we've been walking down in the bottom of the Beaver Creek Canyon here for a little while. Some limestone walls. Trees are starting to change. The underbrush is all changed out. Really pretty down here. Well, we stopped for a shade break and I looked around, and at first I noticed this. And I had to get to a better vantage point to figure out that it was a buffalo. And then I looked over and here was this guy looking at us as well. They're not worried about us. They're bulls, they're just hanging out. Anyways, here's the view around us. Been kind of working our way just past a burn spot, and now we're just kind of going back into some normal meadow and forest stuff. Well, it's a beautiful morning out on the trail. Mount Coolidge is off that way. Here comes Mark up the trail. Looks like we have someone else backpacking on the trail today too. And we came up through there and we were camped back over that way. Now we're about halfway through the hike for the day. Just kind of going through an old burn area and a little meadow area here. We come from back over right up in here. Now this is camp for the night. We've kind of had a little bit of gear explosion. This is my cooking contraption down here so that we could have some wind block. I found some really good rocks for that. Good stable rock to cook on so I don't burn the forest down. Here's Mark getting his hammock ready for the night, getting his mat in there. And we kind of had some gear explosion here as well, but it's how you get to your stuff. So we got some squirrels around. We got a nice creek down there to lull us to sleep. Hey Mark.
Hi.
How was your day?
My day was long and uphill. All day long. It was uphill.
Mark almost got a trail name of Uphill, but we chose not to, so.
Thank you.
Yep. We're moving along this morning, starting our uphill. Coming across a few boardwalks here that have been put in to keep the horses from destroying the water crossings because it's just a little tiny stream. The sun's just starting to hit the upper parts up here. We had a really cool mountain lion encounter this morning. It was walking down the trail and our camp was about 100 feet off trail, and I thought I was videoing, but I wasn't, so ended up with a still, but that was a first.
Another fuzzy caterpillar.
We've seen a lot of these little fuzzy guys all around. The first one I saw was squished flat and I felt bad for him. We just finished a crazy freaking uphill climb. That's 2 of them for the day. We're kind of down below Mount Coolidge up there. Just coming around. Nice rock formation there. And that's looking out to the east. We got food about 3/4 of a mile ahead, so we're just trying to push through, but after that crazy uphill we had to take a break. Great lunch with the family. It was very good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out. Mark, thanks for doing the 2.5 days with me. Hope you recover. But I'm pressing on. I've crossed over the highway and heading north, working my way up to the park boundary. Got to see a buffalo right there where I crossed the road, so that was pretty special. Just went right around him. All the tourists are stopping and gawking and taking pictures. But it is what it is, so on the trail. I got my first glimpse of Harney Peak right out up in there. Oh, I just passed a big open area where they'd clear cut a bunch of trees that were killed through pine beetle. Kind of a boring walk. Coming around, Harney Peak's out there in between the 2 dead trees. Elkhorn Mountain's out that way. That's what I got coming up tomorrow, going through the wilderness area. Here's tonight's camp area up in the wilderness area. A nice rock outcropping right here. Made my little kitchen area there with a windbreak. I'm trying something new with the sleep system tonight. It's been a little chilly in the hammock. The sides of the hammock tend to push in on the sleeping bag and make it cold. So I'm actually going to take the hammock, wrap it underneath the pad to protect it while I'm laying on it, and that's the way I'm going to sleep tonight. So I took my tarp for my hammock and just kind of made a tarp shelter out of it. And I got gear explosion here, trails right down there, and that's where I was going to set up my hammock, and then I remembered I was going to try this, so we'll see how it goes. And here's some of the color of the fall colors from the trees as we go along the trail. There's been no shortage of this. It's actually really pretty. This is the one thing I wasn't really expecting. It's beginning of day 4. Slept very well last night. In fact, I slept in about an hour longer than I expected to. This big rock mass in front of me, I could see out on the trail yesterday. I was wondering what it was, where it is. And I've hiked past this before. I just didn't realize that was quite such a large mass. Lots of good tree color this morning. Pressing on. Just been plugging away this morning, taking breaks. Good steady pace. There's Mount Rushmore. Be dropping down into the canyon here and going by Grizzly Bear Creek. Out along the Horse Thief Lake Trail, running low on water, so I stopped here to get some. Normally back over in here, there's a little cascade coming down there, but it's not flowing. So I had to come back over here, lean over this rock, and get down there to the water flow and get my water. Now some more really nice fall colors. Well, I got camp set up for the night. Got in a little early, so I just decided to set up and let some things air out that haven't had a chance to air out very much. Right next to the highway, so I get to listen to the hum of the world. And then up here, I've got my little cook area all set up. Well, good morning. Had a nice warm evening last night until probably about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, and then it cooled off. Got sprinkled on a little bit. Seems like I can't get away. Well, I shouldn't complain because I enjoy the view, but like I can't get away from Harney Peak, and that's right up there. Slept by the highway last night, so I had to listen to traffic, but it was a great campsite. I can't complain. Had a mountain lion crying around me a couple times in the night. Well, this has been one of the best areas I've seen for fall colors. The light is just right. It's really pretty. Oh, this is about the rockiest part of the trail. Steep, uphill, in your face, just beats you down. Doesn't look like much in the video, but it's a kicker. This is right alongside the trail. Not sure if anything is in there, but it's like almost a perfect hole. Thought that was pretty cool. I'm probably at the high point on the trail. I'm not sure what the elevation at Bear Butte is, but this is 5,485 feet. It's probably my last view of Harney Peak and Elkhorn Mountain and the wilderness area. Coming around between the trees of Mount Rushmore. I can't get a full 360, but we'll do what we can here. Rapid City is out that way past the dead tree. Everything else is kind of treed in up here. This is some of my favorite ground cover in the forest. It's just this little green stuff here. Kind of this whole area is just covered with it out here. Sometimes it gets little red berries on it as well. I'm not quite sure which way the Centennial Trail goes. I want to go this way, but I just have a feeling that it's this way. And this is what I get for being a smart aleck back there. Some really good, rocky, in-your-face uphill. Oh, my first views of Sheridan Lake down there. I can see some boats up on the North Cove. And I'll be in that area tomorrow. I'm almost done for the day. It's been a butt kicker of a day. Way too much uphill and downhill. But soon there will be food and beer and family, so it's all worth it. It's Monday morning, and I'm not at work. That's a good thing. Trucking along the Flume Trail, along the south shore of Sheridan Lake. Thanks again to all the family coming out and hanging out with me and bringing me some food and beverage. That was very nice, thank you. Got a little chilly last night. Was sleeping under my tarp on the ground. Had a lot of condensation on the inside, so I had to dry things out this morning. Probably on one of my longer breaks today, I'm gonna have to get the sleeping bag out and let it kind of dry out because the outer part of it was a little damp. I've been on the trail for a couple hours. Just got done with a 20-minute break. The good old super crack bar with some peanut butter on it. Now I get to walk the power lines for just a little bit this morning. Had some gradual uphill, nothing too crazy. Absolutely nothing like yesterday, so making good time. Just a really cool aspen stand walking by here, or that I am walking by. These haven't really started to change just yet. I just finished a good uphill section, so if I'm breathing hard, that's what it is. Back out in some open exposed territory here north of Sheridan Lake, south of Pactola. Haven't been in an exposed territory like this since Thursday? Yeah. So it's kind of nice. See something a little different than the forest, but I truly enjoy the forest. It's just a nice little section of trail through here. Kind of a little bit of uphill, but it's just a gentle glide up the slope. Got me breathing a little heavy, but that's just because I've been going for a while today. On morning break here. Needed a little long break here, coming up to the end of the big wide open area. Had a damp night in camp last night, so I wanted to dry out the shell of the sleeping bag, so it's all spread out here. The towel still needed to dry after wiping stuff down this morning. This was actually a really nice change walking through the meadow here. I'm getting my last view of Harney Peak, and that would be right up in this area right up there. Let it refocus. I didn't think I would see it again, so it is kind of nice to see that. The birds have been really working away at this tree. Oh, didn't even realize they were there. They just got up when I turned to start the video. That's pretty cool. Anyways, the birds have been working away on this tree, leaving a lot of the bark intact. Just thought it was way cool. I left Brush Creek Trailhead a little bit ago. Had a road walk for a while. The trail used to go snaking through the side country there, but it's so overgrown, I'm sure it's difficult to maintain it, so they just put it on the road. Had a little bit of a climb up and a little bit of down, and now I just got this nice canyon to walk up. Lots of nice fall colors, good trail conditions. Well, this is the most water that I have seen flowing, not including Sheridan Lake, in quite a long time. Really nice, really refreshing. I just got to work out my creek crossing here. Some really cool rock. I like the striations in it. It's break time. Now some more uphill. Coming up out of the Pactola lower basin area there. Ran into a couple other hikers that were out for 4 days, they said. They were going to go back to the hotel room, drink some beer, and lick their wounds. They said they packed a little too heavy. And just from looking at it, I kind of thought so, but I'm no expert. Well, I made it up to the North Boat launch at Pactola. I can't remember the last time I was up here, but that's 2 lakes in 1 day. Still pressing on. One more view of Pactola. I have a feeling this will probably be the last one. Another beautiful morning out on the trail. Had a campsite just south of the Deer Creek trailhead last night, and I was in the wildlife mecca. Super highway for deer. Had a few of them that were mad at me and snorting at me and everything else. Just as the sun went down, there was an elk bugling out there, and it turned into an elk fight. I could hear the horns locking together and mashing each other, and that went on for probably 20-25 minutes. Coyotes in the night, more deer this morning, some turkeys this morning. So just kind of the plethora of wildlife. Today's supposed to be a warm one, so I'm just moving along. Gonna meet up with Corey and Nemo and get another resupply. I'm running ahead of schedule, so that's a good thing. Hoping to summit Bear Butte on Friday. So I'm at Pilot Knob Trailhead, filtering some water. This little guy has obviously been fed too much because he's just hanging around. I just left Brush Creek Trailhead. As I was leaving, a lady pulled up, hollered out to me, asking me if I was a through hiker, asking if I needed any water or snacks. It was really unexpected to see some potential trail magic out here. So that was pretty cool. Her and her husband had done it earlier this year, like April, May time frame. Her 72-year-old husband is out bike packing it, so I will probably come across him sometime today as well. Starting to warm up a little bit, but hey, it's all good in the woods, pushing north. It's a creek, and it's about 10:35 in the morning, and that was supposed to be tonight's campsite. So that's kind of how far ahead of schedule I am. So I'm very confident that Friday will be a good summit day for me, so we'll see how it goes. I did run across the 72-year-old doing his bike packing trip. His wife said that the whole trip will be 170 miles when they finish it. He was tired because he got to Nemo expecting the restaurant to be open, and it was closed, so he didn't have a whole lot of food left on him. Embracing the suck of the motorized trail here. Ran across one of the other bike packers that's doing the race with the 72-year-old gentleman. Apparently they all kind of spread out when they started. It's a 450-mile race through this kind of stuff, from spearfish back to spearfish. So hats off to those folks there. Also like to give a shout out to my support team, Shar and Corey. Thanks for coming out and giving me an early resupply and the beer and the homemade bread and the social time. I was kind of ready for a little bit of social time there, so thank you much. Now, this is one of the things that's been frustrating me today, is they've basically created roughly, I don't know, 3 different ways to get through this one area. Rather than respecting the land and just doing one way, they've got to tear shit up, tear up their little mud bogs, make it even wider. Oh, even here, there's a place where they even cut all the way around, and who knows if that's even part of the trail down there. So I'm not real happy with the motorized users of the trail. Well, here's a nice overview of the area. Nemo is right out in that area there. And that's kind of the general direction that I came from today. Looks like we have a little more smoke pushing in. Here's my first look out onto the prairie out east. Dalton Lake is down in there somewhere. And this ridge line out there is where I'm probably going to be tomorrow. I've found a place to camp for the night. Puts me at somewhere between 14 and 15 miles for the day. Kind of sandwiched in a switchback, if you will, up on top of a ridge line up here on the trail. No real good places to sleep on the ground due to the rock and the branches, so got the hammock and the tarp set up and ready to go. And some of the gear's kind of spread out a little bit, so looks like it'll be a nice evening. It's still quite warm. Hopefully it'll stay that way overnight. There's my ridge line out there for tomorrow. That's the start of my 7th full day on trail. Although I did start a week ago today, but it was an afternoon kind of deal. Had a great night of sleeping. It stayed very warm despite the wind coming up. And I was hoping to sit in the hammock and watch the sunrise, and it's cloudy this morning, but that's okay. It was really good. That was probably one of my favorite tent sites right there, because everything was just very functional for me. I didn't have to walk long distances or anything like that. Had a coyote nearby last night. Must have been the leader of the pack, because all he did was yip and howl and bark, and it was a big long coded message to the other ones. And then they were off north of me after that. Saw a couple of the bike packers this morning. They're still working their way up. They say there's a couple more that I'll come across today as well. So dropping down into Dalton Lake, and then it's back to footpath traffic. I'm looking forward to that. Here I am going down the trail, and there were this one deer right up ahead, and there was another one with it that went down the hill. Oh, decided to go. Well, I'm finally off the hill that is motorized vehicle trails. My mind is spinning with all kinds of comments I plan to send to the director of the National Forest here in the Black Hills, because of just the absolute irresponsible behavior of the off-road riders in this area, or the UTV riders in this area. So hopefully after Dalton Lake I can clear my head of this and go back to enjoying the trail. Down here at Dalton Lake, filtering just a little bit of water here. Not sure the water sources between here and the Elk Creek trailhead, so I thought I better get some done. Got the creek flowing right behind me here. I'm still at Dalton Lake, and I went down to the creek to kind of rinse out a bandana real quick, and this little guy was down here. Made the climb up out of Dalton Lake for the most part. Probably still got a little bit more here, but this is just a really nice, pretty area through here. So I've finally gotten up to the ridge above Dalton Lake, and I'm looking back to the south. And I don't know if it's visible or not. Yeah, it is. That gap in the trees right there is a set of power lines that come down the hill, and that is where I camped last night. That was just way cool. I was still climbing an elevation this morning, looking out down the little Elk Creek drainage where the little Elk Creek Trail is. Used to be able to see the red gate and the white gate down there, but you can't see them anymore. But it's kind of nice to see the prairie out there as well. I am not 100% sure, but I think that is Custer Peak off in the distance out there. To be complete. I'm sure I'll have some more today, but the worst of it is finally done. Kind of dropping down a little bit, going through this really thick forestry area, and I got another mountain bike bridge to go over. I don't know how they got all the lumber up here for them, but keeps the bikers going, keeps the livestock in. It's almost like a cattle guard for bikers. Well, after all my uphill this morning, I finally got a reprieve and got some good downhill. I'd been up on that peak up there, not peak, but hilltop up there, and it was just switchback heaven coming down the whole way. Came back around this way, and I came out to this rocky overlook here, and I'm getting some more views of the prairie out there, the interstate, all that civilization stuff. Well, I'm kind of walking above the canyon now. This limestone face is just amazing. There's some water down there, so that tells me when I get into the Elk Creek drainage, I should be able to filter out some water, hopefully, so we'll see. Well, this is home sweet home tonight. It was a long day, it was a hot day. Last time I saw water was Dalton Lake, and that was like 13 miles ago, so I've got about 1.5 liters to get me through until I get to Bulldog Canyon tomorrow, so just make the best of it. Press on. Oh, I found this near my campsite this morning. I've always wondered what's inside of a beehive. Pretty cool. Moving along this morning. A little bit of clouds came in. Nice and cool. It's supposed to be like 90 today, so. But my first goal of the day is to find some water. And that should be at Bulldog Gulch, from what I understand. Didn't hear any wildlife last night, other than the flies and the bees. But considering there's no water up here, doesn't surprise me. Didn't get too cold, slept in the hammock again, very comfortable. So, moving on. Oh, moving along here. I wonder if that's not like Terry Peak or something up near Deadwood. It'd be about right. Well, it's a view through the trees, but there is my first view of Bear Butte. That is where I will finish this adventure and be there tomorrow. Well, I'm dropping down into Bulldog Gulch, hopefully to find some water. It's been very cool hiking this morning. I took the break up top where I could see Bear Butte, but as I've been dropping down, it's been slowly getting warmer and warmer. So it's to be expected. I knew it was going to be hot today. Still some pretty fall colors out here, crunching in the leaves. This is probably the oddest thing that I have come across on the trail. It's like a mini outhouse or something. Can't read everything that says there, but it's something Deadwood, South Dakota, something, and E. I don't know. Interesting. And when you look down inside of it, there's just really nothing in there. It's almost like it was somebody took a bunch of metal from something and turned it into whatever it is. I know there's a whole bunch of somethings there, but when you're not quite sure. Well, I'm cruising along the High Line, getting ready to drop down to my camp for the day. It's been mostly downhill. Still have yet to find water. The Bulldog Creek was completely bone dry, just like Elk Creek was, so I'm just rationing it, seeing what there is when I get down to Alkali Creek, and formulating a plan. So, as Clint Eastwood would say, adapt, improvise, and overcome. Well, today is the day of perpetual downhill. Seems like that's all I've been doing, so I guess I'm not too desperate for water or anything. I mean, I am taking sips and keeping as hydrated as I can. Still working my way down to the Alkali Creek trailhead. I just thought this area through here was really cool with the mixture of pine trees and other trees and some green and some changing. It's just a really cool area as I trip over the rock in the trail. Now one more bike cattle guard and I am down out of the National Forest. The fence line here is the separation between the National Forest land and the Bureau of Land Management. Over here we have the National Cemetery. Hats off. And now I'm just working my way down to the interstate while I go underneath the bridge, and the campground is over there in the trees. I'm ready for a break and hopefully find some water. Well, here I am at the I-90 crossing. Go under the bridge, through the culvert. There's water in the culvert. I'm not gonna filter that or anything. Even the other one has water in it, so looks like feet are gonna get a little wet. Oh, that was an interesting crossing. Through the tunnel, I kind of made my way through the water puddles there as best I could. Down inside there is a pipe. So I started scooching along the pipe with my hands up against the wall. And then when I got out here to the panels, I just inched my way across the panels as well. Stinks. Oh my God, does that stink. Well, just a quick video here. Starting to run low on juice and I gotta have enough to get through tomorrow, but that's where I have my shelter set up tonight. There's no trees close enough to do a hammock. A picnic table, a little barbecue grill, a little fire pit. And you notice there's this really cool tent pad back here. But the problem is that there's an underground beehive in it. So right here you can see where the bees are coming and going. And I want nothing to do with that, so I just chose to set up on the ground. Today was probably one of the toughest days I've done. Not because of terrain or anything else, but it was hot, probably low 90s today. And I was running low on water. I had to go 24 miles, I think, with no water. Well, not no water, but I went 24 miles from my last fill up to getting here, and I really rationed my water once I realized that there was none available. I ran out of water as I came underneath the I-90 bridge, so that was a good thing. I called the BLM office and asked them if there was water here, and the person that answered says, well, yeah, I believe that there is some in the for the horses over in the horse camp. So assuming that there was none, I called Corey and asked him to bring some water out and some Taco Bell. Lo and behold, I get here and there's a nice water bottle fill station here. So what can you do? It is what it is. I really appreciated Corey coming out. The Taco Bell hit the spot because I had not eaten a whole lot this day, just due to not having a whole lot of water. And I was kind of running on E, but I'm feeling good now. So tomorrow's summit day, and that'll be the end of the journey. Heading out this morning, following some horses up the trail. Wind came up last night, crazy high gusts of wind. Basically, the shelter collapsed. It's not designed for that kind of wind or anything like that. Message with Shar, had her come up and get me. Threw everything in the back of her car and went home. Slept in my bed, took a shower, not in that order. Had some really great French toast for breakfast this morning. Thank you, Shar. And then she just dropped me off back here at the trailhead. So, pressing on. Well, other than being up on Bear Butte later on today, this appears to be the high point on the trail. Now that we've got some smoke cleared and other stuff, you can actually see out onto the prairie. The trails up here in the BLM land are just fantastic. I've loved every step of them so far. Alright, just started going again. Way back in the 90s when I was stationed up in Minot, North Dakota, I came down here and brought somebody from the East Coast back up to Minot, and they were amazed at how far you could see up here. Because like right up, see if I can get my finger there we go. Anyways, right up in the middle of the screen there on the horizon, there's a little bump, and that's Castle Rock. I'm not exactly sure how far away that is, but it is quite a ways away, so it's just really cool to be able to see that far. Pines, hearing the leaves crunch underneath your feet. Pulled a bunch of leaves out of the sleeping bag and the hammock and other gear this morning when I got everything organized. I'm still carrying all the gear that I have had with me. I only took out of the pack what I would have had for breakfast this morning, and that would have been 2 packs of oatmeal and 1 pack of Via coffee. But everything else is back in there. And venturing out into the prairie. Here's been the trek across the prairie. Went across that kind of flat area up there, dropped down, came past this little stock dam. Got some wild cows up ahead, and you have Bear Butte Lake and the prize at the end of the line. Well, still working my way up. Came across the prairie out that way, came around the south side of the lake, I guess. And now I'm working my way up into Bear Butte and saw this just way funky looking mushroom down here. I'm not going to disturb it or anything, but it just looks alien-like. There's the butte. Shar should be meeting me up there pretty soon, and if she's not there already, and take a little bit of a break, get the trekking poles back out, and tackle this beast. Well, everybody, Trail Angel showed up to walk with me on the final leg of my journey here. Say hi, Trail Angel.
Hi, Trail Angel.
So we're gonna run up. Not run. There's no running involved here. We're going up to Bear Butte and gonna finish the journey here. Working our way up. Some really cool rock here, some more rock there. Visitor center is down there. And out there is Bear Butte Lake and the ridge that I came across, and the journey was out that way. Just a completely different landscape, even from there over to these rocks into this rock that's up close and personal here. I always forget how cool this place is.
Here's Jim making his final ascent, Bear Butte, after hiking 120 miles, Centennial Trail. I came up to summit it with him. Woohoo!
That was a long journey.
Good job.
But it was worth it.
How you feel?
Good. I feel really good.
Feel proud of yourself?
That hasn't sunk in
You
yet.
should be.
Physically, I feel really good.
Good.
I'm gonna take a break. Up here is the top of Bear Butte. I've tackled the beast. Rapid City is out that way. Let's see, I gotta find the viewfinder here. There it is. Harney Peak is right up in there. There's Bear Butte Lake, the BLM Lake. The peak straight out here is Custer Peak. And then the high peak out here is Terry Peak. And then over here you have Crow Peak. And then just coming back around, it's nothing but prairie out there. Some prayer flags that are up here. Hopefully their prayers came true. If they went all the way up here to get them, I would hope that they would. I can't see Castle Rock out there anymore. It's kind of gotten lost in the clouds, but Deer's Ears is out about here. And then here's Shutterbug. I know I referred to her as Trail Angel this morning because on this adventure she was my trail angel more times than I care to remember, especially when I needed it. But her true trail name is Shutterbug.
Not Snapshot.
Nope, Shutterbug. I like Shutterbug better. Here we are coming down from Bear Butte, and we got 3 deer right here. Oh, and here's a 4th one down here in the bottom.
Here.
Right down there by those red bushes.
Hi.
They're mule deer, so they're not quite as skittish as whitetails are. But this little guy right here was right on the trail, looking back for his buddy, saying, "Hey, come on, get up here." Today is Saturday, September 26, 2020. I am down in Custer State Park, back on the Centennial Trail. When we came through here on the second day of the journey, there were concerns about how our slow pace was going and not making it to camp on time and having to deal with an uphill. So we chose to kind of cut out a section here, about a 3-mile section. I'm back today to take care of it. Yes, I still have everything in my pack that I was carrying that day with me. Maybe a little bit more food items, but nothing too crazy. So pressing on. Up in a meadow. I'd been up here earlier this year just kind of doing a hike that involved part of the Centennial Trail. And when I was up here, I'd gone that way, back over to the highway and over the other side. Looks like they're having problems keeping some of their signs up. Well, just a really nice meadow here, pressing along, making good time. Well, that concludes that little section that I missed. Probably about 2.5 miles, maybe. But it is done. And that also means that after I cross the road, the 120 miles of the Centennial Trail is officially complete for me.